Hey guys, it's Christy and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be sharing my Sephora VIB sale recommendations. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's get into it. Alright, so I really tried to narrow this down as much as I could. I don't want these videos to be too overwhelming. So for that reason, I also don't mention products that I mentioned in any previous recommendations videos, just because we could be here all day if I was recommending every single thing I love. So I do these videos for every Sephora VIB sale, so twice a year. So I'm not mentioning anything that I have mentioned in my previous recommendations videos. This is just stuff that I have tried out and loved since the last sale. And I do try a ton of makeup, so I really narrowed this one down. So before we get into it, let's talk about the details of this year's VIB sale. This year's sale is beginning on April 14th for Rouge members and April 18th for VIB and Insiders. And the sale is going to run until April 24th. The thing that's different this year is that typically Rouge opens first, a few days after that VIB opens, and a few days after that Insiders. So Insiders typically have the least amount of time to shop. This year VIB and Insider is opening at the same time, but as usual VIB will receive 15% off and Insiders will receive 10%. The Sephora collection will also be 30% off for the entire duration of the sale. So they have been doing that the last couple of years as well, which I do love. The code for this year will be SAVE NOW. So before we get into it, I have two non-makeup items that I need to mention. The first one is the Lancome Advanced Genifique Youth Activating Concentrate. So I actually got this for Christmas and I've been using it ever since, and I am absolutely in love with this product, but it is very expensive. Lancome skincare is so pricey, but this is actually amazing. I know this has been out for a long time, but I love this. This has really helped my skin reduce hyperpigmentation. This has done such an amazing job fading acne scars. It's really helped to even out my skin tone, and I notice this a lot when I'm not wearing makeup. So my cheeks aren't as bright red compared to the rest of my face as they used to be. I have absolutely loved this serum. Since Christmas time, this is the only new product I've had in my routine, and it has made such a difference. So I've absolutely been loving on this one. If you can save 20% off, I absolutely would, because this is very pricey. I think in Canadian dollars, this is about $99. So I will definitely be purchasing a backup of this one. The other non-makeup related item that I have to mention is my lash serum. So I use the Lily Lashes serum and I love this. So I've been using this one for over a year at this point. This is one that I found through BoxyCharm, and I was purchasing every single time they had like a drop shop because it was on for around $9. Unfortunately, BoxyCharm and Ipsy are one now, so I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. I love this serum. This has done such wonders for my lashes. My lashes are so long compared to what they naturally are. At one point, I did get another lash serum in a BoxyCharm, and I was using that instead. It was from Dime Beauty. It did absolutely nothing for my lashes, and my lashes were definitely reverting back to their old ways. The second I got a new one of these and started using it, my lashes got super long again. And this is finally at Sephora now as well, so I would highly recommend picking this up if you're looking for a new lash serum. I'm kind of looking at picking up one of the new Grande Lash just to maybe add a different one into my routine. But if you're looking for a good one, I can't say enough good things about this one. Let's get into the makeup. I only have one sort of prep step that I wanted to mention, and that is the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. I did not use this today because I wasn't originally planning on filming this video today, but today I have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter on under my foundation, and it gives a very similar effect with a little less glow. Bit less glow, but it just looks so beautiful. It just makes the skin look so healthy. You can wear this without makeup. You can wear it under makeup. It never pills or reacts badly with the foundation. It just gives such a beautiful, healthy, luminous base to the skin. I did shake this up. This will come separated, and it's supposed to. You just have to shake it up and it will look like this. One pump, press it into the skin, and it looks so beautiful. I love this, and the packaging is absolutely stunning as well. In the concealer category, I have the Rare Beauty Under Eye Brightener. This has been such a favorite of mine. I don't have a ton of eye brighteners, but I picked this up and this just comes with a cooling metal tip, so you really don't get a ton of product out at once, which I kind of like. And the metal applicator really does feel so nice under the eyes. I love this for wearing on its own on a very no makeup day, or just on its own just to give myself a little extra life. I've done that as well. I've also used it as a prep step for my concealer. I've put this on and then put concealer on over top, and it definitely gives the concealer a bit of a luminosity, but it just looks so much more brightening under the eyes. I think Rare Beauty did a fabulous job with this one. So this really isn't a concealer, but it does such a beautiful job and it gives more coverage than I initially expected. Okay, the concealer I wanted to mention that is full coverage, this is the Milk Makeup Future Fluid Concealer. I have mine in the shade 3N. And I forgot to mention I have the Rare Beauty in the shade Light, but I have this one in 3N. So the packaging is definitely very different, and it comes in this kind of pointy doe foot. It's definitely bigger than I expected out of this, but this is such a nice concealer. It is definitely very full coverage, but it's not at all drying. It blends out so easily. It looks so nice under the eyes. So I have really been loving this one, and this one you can also use to spot conceal. It does a really great job with that as well because it is so full coverage. It does a really great job with that. Two foundations that I have tried and fallen in love with since the last VIB sale is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. I have the shade 2N. I love this. If you have dry skin like me, I would highly recommend this one. So this one caused quite a stir when it initially came out because if you really look at the bottle, it looks like it's got shimmery particles in here. But this foundation is infused with perfecting powders. I thought that was really interesting. And it just looks so beautiful on the skin. This gives such a beautiful radiance. It's very perfecting. It's definitely a medium coverage. I would say you can build it up a little bit, but it just looks so beautiful on the skin, and it just gives the skin such a beautiful radiant luminosity throughout the day. I mentioned in my review video that I would put this one as a close contender for my beloved NARS Light Reflecting. It's not quite there, but it's close. I love the pump on this. I do think the pump is very high quality. The glass bottle is beautiful. The whole aesthetic of his brand I just love. But this foundation looked so good on my dry skin. It just made my skin look so healthy and radiant. It gave it a soft glow. I loved everything about this foundation, so I highly recommend this one, especially if you have dry skin. And then most recently I tried out the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation. I had the shade 1N2 Vanille. So I did really enjoy this foundation as well. The thing that I don't like is that this is supposed to be a neutral shade. I found it pulled yellow, so that's one thing I don't like about it. But I love the coverage level. This is definitely a good medium coverage. I don't think it's at all buildable, but I also think this works best with a sponge. It does say on Sephora to apply with a brush, but honestly I found the sponge gave me the best payoff. It gave a little less coverage, but the blend and the seamlessness was so perfect with the sponge, so I highly recommend this one with a sponge. It also has a beautiful luminosity to it, very similar to the Makeup by Mario in that I think if you have dry skin, you're going to love this one. This one also dries down where it does not feel super tacky on the skin, which I also really love. I should also mention both of these foundations are also very long wearing, which always scores major points with me, and they both make you look so healthy but also just flawless. So absolutely been loving this one as well. I should also mention I'm not mentioning anything from Pat McGrath in this video because her website does way better sales. So even though I have a ton of Pat McGrath recommendations, they won't be in this video. The only highlighter I wanted to mention is the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide Face Architect Highlighter. I have the shade Moonlit Glow. I feel like the reviews are quite split on this one. I don't love the packaging because this does spin, and I do think it cheapens the product a little bit, but I will say I love this highlight. This is what I have on my cheeks today. I just think it looks so nice, and I don't think it enhances any texture. I just love how smooth it is, and I just really love this one. I think it's beautiful. You can definitely build it up to be quite blinding, but it's not too in-your-face blinding at all. I just think it's an incredibly flattering highlight. I absolutely love this one. Moving into blush, I do have a couple recommendations from Charlotte Tilbury. So I did recently try out her Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush wands, and I love them. I absolutely love them. So her original blush light wands, I think they're really, really nice, but if you do prefer a more matte option, I would absolutely go with these. These are not too matte by any means. They do have a soft radiance, but I think the thing that is important to note with these is they really tend to mimic the finish of the foundation. So if you have a glowy foundation, these are going to have a tiny bit of a glow, but if you have a matte foundation, they're definitely going to look more matte. I have really loved these. These are definitely very pigmented, but they're so easy to blend out. So I would honestly start with one little dot and then blend from there and add more as you need to. So again, they are very pigmented, but I do like these better than the glowy ones just because the glowy ones can be a little bit too glowy, and I feel like these really just don't enhance any texture. I also find them to be super long wearing, which I love and which I do think is kind of hard to find in a blush. So blush is usually the first thing to go, but these really will last all day long. I will say Pink Pop and Peach Pop I find are a little bit more similar than I thought. I think the pink pulls a little bit more peachy than I would expect. And Pillow Talk is definitely deeper than I thought, but it's a really pretty, more neutral leaning option. This is definitely a more mauve toned blush, but it's so flattering. So I do think Pillow Talk might be my favorite shade, but these two are beautiful as well. Okay, I have two more blush formulas to mention. Weirdly enough, they are both cream blushes as well. So I do have the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Lip and Cheek Tint with Upsolite technology. I have the shade Rosé and Brunch. So the packaging on this is beautiful and the product itself is stunning. This is a very, very pigmented blush, so definitely go in with a light hand. I made the mistake of going in way too hard and there was a lot there. However, when I go in with a light hand with this, this is so, so nice. This does have a slight blurring quality to it, which I find super interesting, but it just looks so beautiful on the skin. I really do think this is a great cream blush formula. Definitely a top contender for me. And then around the holidays, I picked up from LYS one of their cream blush sets. So they do have these. So the ones in the permanent line are in their rose gold triangle shaped packaging, but I do love this formula. So this is the shade Unforgettable. I have two other shades from that set, but overall this formula is just really, really nice. Much like the Danessa Myricks, it is super pigmented, so you do want to go in with a light hand, but it is also very long wearing, so blendable. It looks so beautiful on the skin, and this is a satin matte formula, but I really think this is quite a bit like the Charlotte Tilbury, and then it sort of just mimics the finish of the foundation in my opinion, but I really, really do love this cream blush formula. A new addition to my collection is the Tower 28 Sculptino, and this is in the shade Broad, which is the lightest one. So this is their new contour cream, and this is so nice. This is definitely a very sheer formula, so if you like a really strong contour, you might not love this, but I much prefer a much more soft diffused contour if I'm going for that, and this gives me that. This gives me that. It is so easy to blend out. You do have to be careful not to blend it away, but it really just does give such a soft contour and sculpt. I love this one. It's completely matte. There's no shimmer or glow to it whatsoever, but I do think they did a great job with this product. I don't go for a lot of contour products, but this one really caught my attention and I'm glad it did. For this next cream bronzer, I had to check my last video and for some reason I didn't mention it, but this is the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream. I had the shade Laguna 01 and this is one of my all-time favorite cream bronzers. This has a bit of a moussiness to it, not quite as moussey as the Charlotte Tilbury, but it's nowhere near as creamy as the Say. It's somewhere right in the middle, but it's definitely more on the moussey side. It's also very pigmented, but it blends out so beautifully. This is incredibly long wearing, and I just love the tone. It's a very beautiful neutral tone. It does not pull too orange, but it doesn't look gray on the skin. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite cream bronzers. I'm so glad they finally made these part of the permanent line because these were initially a limited edition release and then they took them away and then they brought them back last year permanently. And I really don't know why I didn't mention it in my recommendations for the fall, but this is amazing. A face palette I tried recently is from NARS, and this is the Orgasm Foreplay Blush Quad. So I've really been enjoying these. I know they release a lot of these, and I know a lot of them are limited edition, but if you're into the NARS quads, I really love this one. I think the highlight is really nice. It's very smooth. The blushes are also so beautiful. They are very flattering. So you do get Orgasm, Orgasm X, and Orgasm Rush. So Orgasm Rush is definitely going to be the deepest shade, but somehow I can also make it work on my skin tone. But I do think this is going to look great on a lot of different skin tones in general. I think this is such a beautiful quad. I really did not think I would be able to make Orgasm Rush work on my skin tone, but I can, and I love this quad. I think it's so nice. I have no regrets on picking this one up, and the packaging is super beautiful. I love it. Okay, let's talk about lips very quickly before we get into eyeshadows, and I only pulled 3 eyeshadow palettes. That took a lot of restraint. But the first lipstick I need to mention is the Merit Signature Lip. I have the shade Baby. This has easily become one of my very favorite lipstick formulas. So Baby is just a really pretty neutral pinky brown type shade. It's very similar to what I have on today. I'm wearing MAC Modesty today, but this is very similar in shade. I think it might have a slight bit more pinkiness to it, but the formula feels on the lips like a lip balm, but you get such a beautiful color payoff. These can definitely go on sheer, but they can also be layered up. I have this in a red shade too that I really love, but I highly recommend this lipstick formula if you're in the market for a new one, or if you've been eyeing these up. You would not regret these. This is just such a beautiful formula. They're so comfortable, so lightweight, feels like a balm, but you can really build it up to get a really great color payoff. These are perfect. And a formula I tried very recently is from LYS, and this is their new lipsticks. These are nice. So I have this shade Moody, and it is indeed a moody shade. So it just comes in this beautiful pink packaging. It's got like this faux pink leather and then the gold on the back, and it does have that classic triangle packaging, and it's just a really slim tube. So this is the shade Moody. So this shade is definitely going to be more of a fall color for me for sure, but it is so creamy and comfortable on the lips. Very much like the Merit, feels like a balm and is just so comfortable on the lips. It's not at all patchy, it's just very comfortable. And these have incredible color payoff. So I highly recommend this formula. They don't have a great shade range, but I do think they have some really pretty nude shades. But this formula is beautiful. Let's finish up with the 3 eyeshadow palettes I decided to pull. So I really narrowed this down, and I did decide to include the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. This one is really pretty. This one got a little bit of flack because it did come out at the holidays. It definitely leans more toward a more spring type of color story, but I think it's so pretty. I don't think you can achieve a ton of depth with it because there really isn't a nice matte deep brown or deep green. This is the deepest you can go, and when you blend it, it is a little bit on the light side. But if you are looking for a really beautiful lighter green, very wearable color story, I think this is it. The formula of this is gorgeous. I think the color story is beautiful. The formula is absolutely up to par with her typical formulas. I do think these are on sale at Sephora right now, but I do highly recommend this if you've been thinking of picking it up. I do think it's a great palette. I also wanted to mention the NARS Orgasm Rising eyeshadow palette. I tried this one out at the same time as the face palette, and I just love it. No, it's not a special color story. It's not very different from what NARS normally does at all. I think it's so pretty. I love the NARS eyeshadow formula. They're so blendable. They work together so well. They're just so easy to work with. It's unbelievable. And I just think it's stunning. The color story is perfect for every day. This is definitely my kind of color story. This is definitely one that I reach for a ton. I did try out their brand new Laguna quads, but it's hard for me to recommend those even on sale. I like them, I like the formula, but it's hard for me to recommend them when they are the same price as this, and in this one you get 9 shades. So I would just mention that, but I do love this palette. And finally, the new Huda Beauty Matte Obsessions palettes. These are good. These are so good. So the thing that's a little bit different about these ones from her usuals is she does include 2 cream shades in here, and this one, it is the top 2. This is the Cool Obsessions. There is a warm one as well, so if you prefer more of that orangey warmer formula, I think you might like it. I love a good cool tone mauve color story, and this did not disappoint me. This one really ignited a love in me for all matte looks, and I've created quite a few all matte looks since I tested this out. I have also historically had reservations with respect to her 9pan palettes because I don't believe they're all created equal, and they're definitely not created equal compared to her larger palettes, but the formula of this one is so good. So good. I do not think you would regret picking this one up, especially if you're a matte lover. If you love all matte looks, I think you would love this. And that is it. Those are my Sephora recommendations for the upcoming sale. Again, I really just tried to keep it to products that I've newly discovered since the last sale so that this video didn't get too overwhelming. That is it for me today. Let me know down below what you're planning to pick up. Are you planning to shop the sale at all? I know it's definitely not worth it for some, but let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!